What is up, guys and gals? Raph here from BNC Camera. Grasping the power of emphasis in photography will help you tell a story. All photographs have a focal point and need that emphasis to attract your viewer's eye. Art is meant to tell stories and show emotion, and this can be done through music, dance, paintings, and photography. In photography, you have that focal point and other elements to tell a story, and your emphasis will tell your story and show feelings through your visuals. Seem a little complex? If it does seem difficult to you, we'll go ahead and discuss a bit in this video on emphasis and how to convey that through photography composition. First up, let's go ahead and discuss about composition. Composition is how your photograph organizes its subject matter. Understanding your camera settings is an integral part of photography, but also having a knack for subject arrangement in your photos will ensure you get a fantastic picture. Here are a few composition techniques you can use. Texture. Having texture and contrast will automatically pull your viewer in. An example of this would be mossy stone in a calm creek. The moss will be a different texture from the smooth water, hence giving you texture. Next up, we have light. Using light to create shadows will create a mysterious look. On the other hand, shining a bright light on a subject will create a more soft and happy look. Light will help add an extra dimension to your photographs. Now consider trying new angles. Switching up perspectives and positions can make a huge difference in your photos and is an easy and quick fix. Play around with depth of field. When you use a shallow depth of field that blurs your background, it draws focus to your subject. Although you have other elements, it's hard to visualize them. Your eye will automatically focus on what is clear to see. In some instances of photography, you want to make sure that the background is not overpowering what the focal point is. Here's a standard and necessary one from the playbook, using the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is one of the more popular composition techniques. Your subject will be in the right or left third of your camera grid in this technique. The rest of your grid should be left open. Utilizing your distance. Zoom in on your subject with a telephoto lens or even step back to add a new perspective to your photo. This will modify your emphasis. Here's a good case example. Maybe you want to emphasize the size of a large waterfall compared to a model standing at the bottom. To do this, you will add distance between you, your model, and the waterfall. With distance, also consider negative space. Try a minimalistic approach to your composition. If you use negative space, you can bring all your attention to your subject. An example of this would be a white room with a single brightly colored object in the center. This takes out any visual mess. The next one is a no-brainer, cropping. Crop your image during post-processing if you feel your background is overpowering your subject. This, of course, is an easy fix. Of course, consider what's in your frame with colors. Using contrast and brightness can also help emphasize your photographs. If you have contrasting colors in the foreground and background, your subject will automatically pop out. A great example of this is a child in a bright yellow jacket in the middle of a gloomy day, and the gray and yellow contrasts help each other out. Another idea is converting your photo to black and white during post-processing and keeping your subject in color. The next one might be a little bit complex to grasp, but consider visual weight. Although your viewer doesn't know how tall or how much your subject weighs, there is a lot to be said about visual weight. You don't know how big a tall building is just by seeing it. But by having it near a smaller building, you can visualize how tall it really is. Next one's also going to be a no-brainer, framing. Use the frame technique to draw your viewer's eye to the subject. Now, this doesn't have to be done with a literal frame, and you can use other elements to frame out your subject. A good example of this would be an arched bridge over your model. Shapes. You can also use shapes in your photographs to help direct your viewer to the subject. Stars, triangles, any corners that may point to your subject of interest within the frame. Circles and other shapes will work as well too. Just be sure to use that noggin and combine that with the previous concept of framing to get the most creative results. Last but not least, and my personal favorite, leading lines. Another one of the more popular composition techniques in art is leading lines. With this technique, leading lines will lead your viewer's eye to the subject. An example of this could be a railroad leading your eye to the train from far away. Another example is a beam of sunlight leading you to a model. Now those are but a few tricks of the trade when it comes to adding emphasis in your photographs. Think of the 4 C's when in doubt: color, composition, cropping, and contrast. The 4 C's will help you out with adding emphasis, which is a great starting point for everyone. And remember, practice always makes better. Try not to get discouraged when starting out. Instead, take an opportunity to practice and experiment as much as possible to help with your emphasis on photography. Your eye will eventually end up developing a knack for what to look for. Hope this video helps out in making those standard photos really pop and stand out from the rest. If you happen to have any other techniques of your own, feel free to let us know in the comments section. As always, liking and subscribing helps the channel and us out immensely, so please be sure to do that. Once again, this is Raph from BNC Camera, and we'll catch you on the next one.